Hands in your lap. Let's go ahead and get started because we need to get these ladies out of here, okay? All right, face me. Turn your body so I know you're paying attention. All right. So, a lot lately we've been talking about informational text. We've looked at books and articles and we've found labels and all that kind of stuff. And this morning we're going to continue with informational text. But today your focus is going to be reading and learning something from it and then sharing that information in your group. You're going to have a conversation about it, which we've done lots of times. So we're practicing good listening and speaking skills this morning. Okay? All right, I'm going to start out. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to read and share what I learned first. And then I'm going to have a friend come up and we're going to show you how to do the conversation part. Okay? So we can demonstrate being good listeners and speakers for you. Here's my informational text. It's not a book today, it's just a passage. And it says, how trees help. Did you know that trees are helpers? Trees are plants that clean our air. There is a gas in the air that can be dangerous to people. Tree leaves take in that gas. The leaves use that gas to make food for the tree. Then the leaves give off a clean gas. The clean gas goes into the air for us to breathe. Trees also give us shade on hot days. Trees give us food to eat. Trees give some animals home. Thank you, trees. Okay? I'm going to read it one more time to make sure I got all the information right in my head before I share something new that I learned. Okay? Did you know that trees are helpers? Trees are plants that clean our air. There is a gas in the air that can be dangerous to people. Tree leaves take in that gas. The leaves use that gas to make food for the tree. Then the leaves give off a clean gas. The clean gas goes into the air for us to breathe. Trees also give us shade on hot days. Trees give us food to eat. Trees give some animals homes. Thank you, trees. Okay. So I'm thinking, I actually learned a lot, but one new thing I learned in my reading is that trees give off a clean gas for us to breathe. So when you go, the air that you're breathing is actually given off by the trees. And that's something new I learned. Now at the bottom it told me that they give us shade on hot days and that they give us food to eat and that they give some animals homes. And those are kind of things I already kind of knew. So I wanted to share some new learning with you. So I shared that trees give off a clean gas. Okay? So I read my passage and I shared with you. I just told you something that I learned new. Now Jaden's going to come up and we're going to read another passage together and then we're going to show you how to be good listeners and speakers by exchanging a conversation, okay? I'm going to say something I learned and ask him a question and he has to respond to it, okay? Jaden, will you come on up and we'll read our passage together? You hand me one of those two there. There's two of them up there. Thank you. All right. Ready to read it with me? Okay. This one's called Parts of a Tree. Trees are a kind of plant. They grow like some other plants do. What are the parts of a tree? A tree has leaves. The leaves help make food for the tree. A tree has branches. Branches give trees their shape. A tree has bark. Bark is hard skin on the outside of the tree. A tree has roots. Roots take in water for the tree. How are trees like other plants? So we've read our passage, and we might take a minute to look over it and make sure that we know what we want to share about our learning. And this is kind of the frame that we're going to use, okay? We're not going to be writing, but sometimes we can use it as a speaking frame. Okay? Text, yes, you do see the word text up there. So it says, from my text, because I called it a text, it's not just a book today. Okay? A text can be anything with words in it that you read. From my text, I learned, and I'm going to tell him what I learned. And then I'm going to ask him, what did you learn? And he's going to respond with, I learned, and he's going to tell me something he learned. Okay? All right, Jaden. From my text, I learned that the roots on a tree take in water for it. What did you learn?
That branches give trees their shape.
Okay, so can you put that in the sentence frame, I learned, and then tell me what you learned? I learned that
branches give trees their shape.
Very good. Okay. So I told him something that I learned from our text, and then he shared something that he learned. Did you hear that conversation? Yes? Okay. That's what you're going to be doing today. Okay? When you go in your groups, you're going to read your text. Okay? And it's one that we've already started reading this week, so it'll be a little bit familiar, but I'll come around and help you if you need it. Okay? Then what I'm listening for, Trevor and Revy, is that you're having that conversation, that exchange of conversation where you share something you learned and you ask someone else in your group what they learned, and then they respond to you. Okay? So you read first and share something you learned. Then you're going to do that within your group. Okay? Can you turn and tell your partner what I did first when I got my text?
She read it,
And then what did I do?
and then she talked with Jason and shared conversation and told what you learned.
Right, I told what I learned. Okay, now tell your partner what happened between Jaden and I when we read our text. What did Jaden and I do?
She conversation that was
When you're finished sharing, turn back this way. I heard a lot of good things over here. We've got a few people finishing up. Very good. Turn around and focus back up here. Good job, okay? So when I read my text and I shared something I learned. Then when Jaden came up, we read our text together and then we had a conversation about it, okay? When you go in your group in just a minute, you're going to read your text first. Some have a book, some have a passage like what Jaden and I read. You're going to read it together or on your own, and then you're going to have that conversation about it, where you're going to look at the person you're talking to, say what you learned, and ask them, what did you learn? Okay? Now, in order to be good listeners and speakers, remember that you need to be looking at the person you're talking to and listening to the person that's talking. Okay? All right. So let's review before we do. When you get your text, what's the first thing you're going to do in your group? Read it, okay? Then you're going to share the conversation. Do you know what to do with the conversation? Yes? Okay. Somebody tell me. Alyssa, what are you going to do in the conversation? Do you remember? What's the first thing you're going to do?
I'm going to read it.
You're going to read it, and then what?
Then I'm going to talk to my
Partner.
partner.
Okay, you're going to talk to him about what? What you did yesterday? What are you going to talk to him about? Something you learned about, well, not our text, but the text you're going to have. Okay? So you're not talking to him about trees. You're going to talk to him about what you learned from your text. Got it? Okay. So I need Leslie and Eric. You can take your text all the way over there in front of the calendar area. Oh, you swapped. There you go. Alyssa and Jaden Ingram, take your text over there close to my desk. Kenneth Areli and Jaden Hernandez, you're going to take your text right over there kind of beside Dr. Markham, close to my desk. Jaden and Alyssa, will you guys get a little closer to the calendar for me so they have room for their, you can hand them out to the people they go to when you get over there. Okay. All right. Brittany and Raquel, why don't you guys go right over there on the rug? Oh, they have yours.
Bye.
Revy and Brandon,
Thank you.
you guys just kind of hang out right here. No, you two go over there on the rug. And then Trevor, Chloe, and Camilla. You guys can hang out right here in front of the meeting area, okay?
I'm not reading.
Stephanie, where are you? What song are you in?
Our earth has a lot of water. People need water. Do you know why? We need water to drink.
That's part of the
Water
title.
keeps our
Sit right here. You two sit right here.
working.
Stephanie,
Well,
you can read with them.
we need
Just look on
water
with Chloe.
to cold some food. We need water to wash our bones. How do you use water?
Ready? Start from the beginning for me. Read loud enough so I can hear you.
This is middle of the day. The sun gets the sunlight. Our earth has a lot of water. People need water. Do you know why? We need water to drink.
What's this word?
Water keeps our working well.
Let's look at this word. You said the, and the makes sense right here. That's not the word the. What word is that?
Water to wash.
Oh, very good. So let's read this sentence with the word a right there.
Water. I already know how to read this.
Very good. Now, can you guys share your conversation? Can you tell her something you learned from the book, and you tell her something you learned from the book? Eric, why don't you go first? What did you learn from the book? What do you now know about a frog?
People need water.
Good job. So you turn towards Leslie, okay? And tell her what you learned. I learned.
Water, do you know
I learned jump.
We need
What
water
jumps?
to drink. Water keeps our bodies working
The
well.
frog.
We need water.
Okay, he learned the frog can jump. Ask her what she
We
learned.
need
Say,
water
what did
to
you
wash
learn?
our bodies. How do
She
we
learned the frog is green. Don't tell me. Can you tell Eric?
I already read it.
Okay. Can you guys look in the book and share some more things that you learned for that handies? Good job, guys. Sorry.
I was right behind you.
Okay, have you guys already had conversations? Yes, okay. Can you share with me what you learned?
Okay, I should share what you learned. Share oh, wow, look, some food. Yes. Read it.
And then what did she learn? You remember what she shared?
First
So I know you
you.
had a conversation here.
Whoa. And then me. And then David. Okay, let me show you. Our earth has a lot of
That you
water.
didn't know that you might have heard. Or maybe you can share what makes it.
Our earth has a lot of water. People need water.
Okay, you ready?
Water keeps water. Do you know why? We need water to drink. Water keeps
Very good.
our
Read it for me.
bodies. Ours working well. We need water to cook some food. We need water to wash our bodies. Our bodies.
Right.
It says our bodies. You already read that part. Yeah.
There's that word. Yes. Okay, the picture has to do with hot. This last word is related to the word hot. That's not quite it. Remember? Gives. The sun gives what? Not gives what? Does that sound right? Not quite. All right, sit on your text. Now, there's some really good things you guys were sharing and things that you've learned, and I need you guys to come on around here so I'm not talking to the wall over there. Come on around here so I'm facing you more. Brittany and Eric, will you guys come on around here with your text for me, please? Okay. So in your little groups, you talked about things that you learned from your text today, okay? Well, when Jaden and I were reading during our lesson, there was something that this text that Jaden and I read together and this text that I read by myself There's a connection between the two, okay? They're both about trees, okay? So there was a connection. It wasn't the exact same text. This is different. This one's about parts of a tree, and this one was about how trees help. But they had a connection. They were both about trees. Well, guess what? 3 groups that were over here all have some kind of connection. And the 3 groups that were over there all have some kind of connection. So now what you're going to do is you're going to get together as a big group, okay? A big group over here, and then a big group over there. And you have to look at the text. You may want to read it for the whole group, okay, or at least show it, and see if you can come up with what the big connection is, okay? And some of them have more than one connection, but not all the text in that group. So, if you had a text about frogs or water, if your text was about frogs or water, I want you to all take your text and go over there and get together in front of the calendar area and start talking about, you may need to share what you learned, and then that might help lead you to what the big connection was. Leslie, you have a story about a frog. Will you go over there with them? Eric, will you take your text and go over there with them? I'm looking for you to have a conversation. So that means all of you, come on up, all of you have a text that has some kind of connection. So you're going to need to share and show your text and see if you can talk and figure out what that connection is. And I'm looking for you to have some conversation about it because you have to talk about it in order to figure it out. So turn around and face each other and start talking about what your text was about. Maybe share what you learned. Talk to them, not me.
Some of the people have stories. Where's your paper? Oh yeah, because the sun is a star. I know what.
Well, talk to Bill about it. Can you talk about it as a group? I love that you two are facing each other, but let's turn and face everybody else so we can all talk about it because we all have a connection here somehow. Some stars are bigger than the sun. That's a conversation for another day. But let's talk about what's the same on all of our texts. What's the one big thing, and it is a big thing. What's the one big thing that it all has in common?
Whoever has the world.
You know?
I think it out.
What was your passage about? The sun. Yours was about the sun. What was yours about? What was yours about? Oh, we had 3 different texts about the sun. But if his is about the sun, and hers is about the sun, and theirs is about the sun, but these aren't all the same, are they? Because there's a lot of text out there in the world about the sun that's not exactly the same. Now, see if you can think about something else that you read in your text and see if you can share anything or share what you learned from what you read.
We have a connection.
You found a connection? Oh. Okay, water is a common connection for all 3 of your texts, okay? How though, but this isn't about water. Is this about water?
No, that's about frogs.
But what about a frog? What did you learn about a frog that makes you think it's connected to water?
Okay, let's read.
They have to have water to keep their skin wet, okay? They learned something from theirs. What did you learn about water? Well, what is this called? Do you remember? A pond. What's in a pond? The frog lives in there. There's water in a pond, okay? So that's how it's all connected. And then theirs was just about water. Theirs didn't say anything about a frog. It talked about people needing water. But if frogs are living things and they need water, and people are living things and we need water, then that might mean that all living things need water. Okay? Very good. All right, will you take your text and get back over there with you? Good job, guys. Okay, take your text and turn back here. Take your text and come back, turn back over here.
They found a connection.
They did find a connection. And I'm going to tell you real quick before I have you share. Come on up here so everybody can fit. Aurelia, if you need to go behind there, you can. Stephanie, come up this way, sweetie. Sit crisscross applesauce, and then Eric can sit up here. Here we go. Okay, so everybody that was over here, they found a connection, and they did it a little bit differently than how the group back there did it, okay? The group up here, I didn't hear them anyway. They may have before I came over, but they didn't read their passages. They looked at it and talked about it, okay? And they all knew that something in their passage was about the sun. And so they came up with their connection was the sun. But all the texts weren't the same. And that's what we learned, is there's a lot of informational text out there about the sun, but they're not exactly the same thing. They all give you different information. And that group back there, I heard them reading parts of theirs. Okay, they may not have read them all, but I heard some of them reading, and they came up with their connection was water. Okay, but two of their passages, guys, were about frogs. They didn't even tell you about water, but the frogs needed water, and that ended up being their connection to the other passage, because it was about water. Okay? All right, so just to kind of walk through what we did, okay, you had conversations today. Does anybody want to share something they learned, or maybe how the conversation went, or how you feel about how the lesson went? Does anybody want to share? This is like our debriefing, just kind of talking through what we did. Chloe? You what? You want to share? Okay, what did you want to share? Okay. Okay, what she learned about the sun was that it's a star. Yes. Put on your wrist. Does anybody else want to share about the conversation you had? Maybe it's that Jaden and your group with Kenneth and Aurelie, you and Aurelie had something in common. Do you remember? What was it? They came up with the same thing that they learned from their passage. Well, that's okay. I told them that's okay, because a lot of times when we read something, you learn something new, and it's still new information for somebody else too, so that's okay. You did. They made a connection right there because they both learned the same thing. Raquel, did you want to share something? What did you want to share? What's that word you're looking for? You can play outside when the sun is shining. Shining, yeah. They had a lot of hard words in their text that were brand new words, and they had to dig real deep to figure them out. Revy, you want to share something?
I learned something new that the sun can turn into a reddish color.
It turns kind of a reddish color. What time of day did that happen?
Like at noon.
Afternoon, in the evening, right? It starts turning kind of a reddish color. Okay, so do you feel okay about talking? You guys talked pretty well today. I think some groups we need to work a little bit harder on the being good listeners, yeah? But that all comes with more and more practice, okay? Did you want to share something about a conversation? No? Okay. All right, so here's what I want you to do. You guys did a great job today. Thank you very much. I'm going to we're in just a second, okay? I'm going to dismiss you from here, and when you go, I want you to put these in your book boxes, and then go to the bathroom if you need to before specials, and Alyssa, you need to eat your snack, okay?